Unfortunately, I have to report a cheater today. That would be OA Pensioner. I know that he's cheating because I have that car. I know that it's not a leaderboard car. It's about a second slower. On average, it'd be about a second slower. And the car I'm using is a leaderboard car. The Shelby Cobra 427 is just as fast as the Lotus Elise 99. It has the exact same times on the leaderboard. And that's the first thing I would like to show you. I didn't even go into it. Sorry about that. But that's the first thing I would like to show you is just how fast this car is and how comparable it is to the Elise. And I also want to show you the time of another guy who we're going to be using as an example here. So we're going to go over to Class A. What was that other track that I practiced? I believe it was Virginia, right? Let's go over to Virginia. It should be at the end, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was the one with the straight. I think it was this one. Was it this one? Leaderboards don't want to show up, so that's not good. Let me try loading it again. Okay, leaderboards are showing up now. Hopefully I can actually click on it and it shows up. We need to look at that leaderboard. Yeah, there you go. So you see here I practiced an Elise on this track. I managed to place 13th, I think. Yeah. So as you can see, I'm not the fastest driver ever, but I'm clearly not slow, right? Like I'm comparable to Venom Forza. Usually I make times just below his, so on and so forth. And where is... I don't see his name on here, but I've seen his name on the leaderboards more than enough to know how fast he drives. And then here is a good example. Here is the Shelby Cobra. You got two people in the Cobra beating Elise times. So this shows you that this car is extremely competitive. It's one of the fastest cars in the game. It's honestly, in my opinion, even more broken than the Elise, because the Elise lacks top speed but has good acceleration. The Cobra does the same thing that the Elise does, but with top speed. So there are a lot of cases where with the Shelby Cobra you can just flat out beat the Elise just due to that speed difference. So I wanted to show you that, so that way you have an understanding of what car that I'm using. And then I want to show you the leaderboard time for this. So we're racing on night. This isn't the best time I can make on this track. I haven't really tried racing on it that much. I was probably using an Elise without handling, which you need handling on this track. But to give you an idea, let me switch this over to the all and not just Americas. Okay, let's go down to the 107. Alright. So let's take a look at some known names on the leaderboard I can recognize this right away. So there's an FRF member. He's using the Camaro 2. This is a very, very fast car. As you can see, he's going a 108.4. He's pretty fast. I mean, I haven't really seen him race that fast in a race, but you know, he has a lot of good times on the leaderboard. Hey, it's B12. I know that's a good clan, just right off the bat. I know this guy. This is a fast time. Again, leaderboard car, 108. And Russell is typically faster than me. And as you can see here, Dodge Dart, leaderboard car, 108.3. We could do this all day and just look at this. Here you go, Mazda Cosmo. A lot of people don't know about this car. This car is relatively broken. Anytime where speed is relevant, you can use Mazda Cosmo and do some pretty insane shenanigans. And this is the guy I want to use as my example. When I go leaderboard hunting, I usually will see his name. I would try to get as close as I can to that time. And as you can see, he did a 108 flat. So if we go back and take a look at that, he did not cut the track for this time. I watched him. I was right behind him. This is a clean 107.8, and we're going to watch the replay, and you're going to see that. So let's go over the different specs between these cars, so that way we can understand how we know this guy is cheating. So first off, let's look at the weight, because that is highly relevant. Let's Sorry about class. Put it on A. Okay. So first, let's look at the weight. You see right there, it's 2400. You can't really bypass that. There's no way to get that lower. And for the Shelby, I am at about 18, I believe. Yeah, 18 right there. So that right there shows you there's a stark difference in power to weight ratio. So let's go over here and go ahead and pick this car real quick. So what I want to show you is the limitations of this car, because that is very important. So in a lot of cases you could say, well, someone's tune is just different. Here's something to keep in mind. So this is as light as possible. As you can see here, it's 5.6 handling, 5.8 braking. I have to use this. It's an old muscle car. You're going to have to put this on. And the thing is, even if you say you're not going to use this, if you look at the weight, 2300, you're still way heavier, 500 pounds heavier. So either you're 500 or 600 heavier. As you can see here, race tires. This is fully upgraded, 255. This is pretty much all you can get. Normally on a muscle car, you would use 285 to 315, but because this car understeers so much, because the front tire width is too thin, you actually need to pretty much use 255. If you don't use 255, what's going to happen is you're going to understeer, which is what I'm going to show you. And as you can see here, I do have downforce. And the thing about this car, like as you can see right here, normally I would turn the downforce up to about 160 to 170 as long as the car has handling. This car has so many issues with understeering under deceleration that I opt to have less downforce and to try to basically lower my roll bar. Using my roll bar is 15 or higher. You can see it's 10 here. And I also had to loosen my suspension. Usually I have a stiffer suspension than this, but you can't do that because my decel value is already at 0%. It's not going to turn any more if I lift off the throttle. That's what that means. So when I lift off the throttle, that's all I get. So first, I'm going to run some laps in this. I've already showed you how fast I am. Just using a leaderboard time as an example, 13th in the world gives you an idea. Like I said, not everyone has done that. I'm not 13th in the world in terms of speed. I'm probably in top 100. I'm decent. I'm nowhere near the fastest driver. I don't have that misconception that I'm the fastest driver ever. So let's run a few laps in this car just to show you the limitations of this car. So it has really good acceleration. You're going to get that. Top speed is average. Not that great. You can see here I'm already understeering. So there's nothing you can really do about that. You're just going to understeer. And I really don't want the suspension to be looser, because a looser suspension means I'm going to have problems with accelerating. That is the only way you can get a little bit more rotation, is if you make the suspension loose enough to handle it. But if you do so, then you're going to have problems when you're accelerating. So as you can see, there's a ton of understeer in this car. You can't really fix that. If you want to put on thicker rear tires, you're just going to get even more understeer. It's just not going to work out. So I got to be careful here because my suspension's loose. I can't just plow down the accelerator like I would like to. If I have thicker front tires, I 100% would do that, but we can't do that. I'm gonna put in third here so that way I reduce the amount of power I'm getting, so I can just go straight through the corner. Like as you can see, it's a struggle to drive this car. It's not easy at all. So trying to drive this thing at a reasonable pace takes a lot of skill, time, and patience. And yes, you're kind of supposed to go wide there. The more power you have in the car, the wider you're going to go. You're not really going to be able to sit on the edge. The only way you can sit on the edge on that corner is if you have enough handling to do so. I should probably be in second here, but it's just a demo lap. I'm just giving you an idea of what this car can do. This car does have good brakes, so I can stop relatively late. That's not an issue. I stopped too late. Let's just go back a little. But you can stop a bit late here. Probably about right here would be good. A bit early. The problem is I don't rotate under deceleration, so you can't break too. Probably right here. And I haven't really practiced this car on this track. I just know about the difference I would get in time, which is close. It should. Why am I in fourth? I'm sorry. I just realized I was in fourth. I should be in third. Braking is fine, so I just downshift. I don't think it mattered too much that I was in fourth. Alright, again, I'm gonna leave it in third so I get less power. And that was my fault. So this is pretty much gonna be a near perfect lap because I'm rewinding just to give you an idea how fast this thing can go. Like I said, it's hard to use. This is not an easy car to drive. Yeah, I even went over a little bit there. So as you can see, 109. I can probably tell you I could shape this down to maybe, like if I really practice this and get everything just right, I can probably shape this down to a 109 flat, maybe even a very high 108. But that just gives you an idea of what that car can do, what this car can do. It has a lot of limitations, and because of all those limitations, it's really going to slow you down. I think one of the things I probably can do is I can make the suspension stiffer. That would probably save me a bit of time here and there. But overall, it's just a limitation of the car. So let me show you what this thing can do, because this thing is completely broken in my opinion. So a lot of people don't know how broken this car is, and that it's just as busted as the Elise. But you can see I'm already holding far more speed because this car doesn't weigh anything. Like, you can just tell the major differences between the cars. It's not even entirely just the tune itself. This car is just far superior, and it completely outranks that car. That's why this is one of the top leaderboard cars for Class A. And you can see it just literally floats like a bee. Like I said, I can improve my other tune, but there's limitations with the car that you can't fix. You can try to fix it through the tune, but good luck with that. I'm being serious. You should try it for yourself. You really should try it for yourself so you can see the differences between these cars. And I pretty much could instantly tell that the guy was pretty much cheating. I'm gonna run another lap after this. Yeah. Let's go back and do it again. I'm sorry about that. I haven't practiced this track, so let's see if I can get a pretty good run here. I'll just go all the way back and do it again. So I want to show you a good example of a lap, not like a messed up example. And this car is also pretty hard to tune because it has the same problem with the deceleration, unfortunately. And there's no way to fix that. Like, you could probably just take one look at this car, you could tell it's lighter. Just looking at how it handles, not even talking about the acceleration, just how it handles, it's obviously much lighter. Careful here. Should be able to power through. It's a bit difficult to do that corner, right? It takes a lot of practice. So as you can see there, that's a 108.226. So this is how I know this guy is cheating. So I believe I can maybe, like, if I really practice this, I can start running some 107s. You know, like 10 more laps I can probably retune the car a little bit, retool a little bit specifically for this track, and I can start running some 107s. But this is a top leaderboard car, as I've shown you. That car is not. So as I showed you, I'm running close to, I would say close to a second. Like if I were to maximize each car, I'd be running close to about a second slower because that's the differences between the car. I'm not saying that you can't be fast in that car, but what I am saying is that there is no way that thing is running a 107. So that's how I know that he in particular is cheating. And think of it this way. Imagine he was using a Shelby Cobra. He did a 107.8 or 9 in that thing. Now imagine he gets into a leaderboard car. So as I've just shown you, a lot of the very top drivers are racing something between like a 106 to maybe like a 108.2. So, like I said, if I were to practice this more, I'd definitely be running those 108s to high 107s as well in this car. But that just gives you a really good baseline for what each car can do and how I know he's using likely grip hacks. His speed was normal, but his grip was no, that grip didn't make sense. That car is way too heavy to do what he was doing. Let's go ahead and watch the replay. I'm not going to watch the entire replay. What I want to watch is just the final lap just to show you the difference. It's kind of disgusting. And like I said, he did not cut the track. So I could tell immediately. I'm like, hey, what's going on here? That's not how this car runs. And I know that's not how that car runs. Specifically because I have that tune. So we're going to go to game cameras. I don't do replay cameras. We're going to fast forward to the last lap. That's when he ran this 107. And my car was having some issues. Like my rear brake bias was too high, so I was sliding out way more than I would like to. I think that's what I'm telling that too. Like, look at how much his car is rotating. That doesn't really make sense, right? Like, look at how much rotation he's getting. Seriously, look at it. This car can't get that much rotation. As you just saw me try, like, with a very loose suspension, this car doesn't rotate. There's nothing you can do to fix that issue. Like, look, he's hitting the exact same speed I am. Going even faster, even. The replay speaks for itself, man. This car doesn't rotate this. Look, that was so unnatural. Hold on, we have to go back and watch that again. Like, look at that corner again, because that was so unnatural. Cars don't handle like that. Like, look at how much his car just rotated. There's no slip in the tires, anything like that. Where's the wheel spin? That's another thing I just noticed. Where's the wheel spin? This car has a lot of power. You're not gonna get away with no wheel spin. Like, how does he have no wheel spin? This is something else I just noticed. Where's the wheel spin? Like, look, this is what really surprised me. When he was pulling away from me at this point, and I'm like, where's the wheel spin on this? I'm just watching this, and I'm literally asking myself, where's the wheel spin? So you see there, he went to 100 to 95. This car can't do that. It doesn't have the oversteer and the deceleration to do that. You're really going to be, like, listen, if we say that he's faster and he's driving at the limit, that still doesn't make sense. And I'm still trying to understand where his wheel spin is. Because as I'm watching his back, I'm like, dude, there's no wheel spin. Where's the wheel spin? Doesn't matter how good of a driver you are, you're going to have that wheel spin. You can't get rid of that. That's part of racing. Period. Part of racing is having the skill to deal with the wheel spin. He's racing this car like it has 6.0 handling or higher. This car can only get 5.6, 5.7 maybe, but 5.6 pretty much. And he's racing this like it has 0.5 more handling. Like no wheel spin, no slips, no slides. I'm sorry if you call me skeptical, and I'm not buying that. So, and like I said, I'm not just using myself as an example. I showed you the leaderboard, and literally looking at known names of some of the fastest drivers in this game, drivers who are better than myself, and this guy made a time, as you just saw, he didn't cut the track on that last lap. He made a time better than them in this thing. I'm sorry, but there's skepticism, and then rewatching this and just seeing that this is blatant cheating. So I really hope that you ban this guy, because this right here is not skill. Watching this replay just kind of showed my point that it's not even about the speed that he's holding. I don't even see wheel spin. Like, in fact, let's go look at a different, let's go look at my driving, for example. Like I said, my brakes aren't great here. I have too much rear brake bias. I fixed that already, as I just showed you. Like, look how much wheel spin I'm getting. You can't get rid of this wheel spin. It's part of racing. Like, you see how my car is kind of unsettled? That's wheel spin. You can't get rid of wheel spin. You have to manage it. Especially if you're telling me you're racing on the limit, you have to deal with that wheel spin, man. Like, you can see how unsettled my car is. It's unsettled because of how much power this car has. His car has just as much power as I do, yet he gets 0 wheel spin. Like, you can see my car is, again, unsettled, and right there I kind of snapped. That's what happens when you have sim steering on. Sometimes you'll snap and you'll overcorrect too much. You have to get used to that. I'm not used to it yet. But this right here is just giving you a prime example, just showing you that I am getting wheel spin. And there's not much I can do to get rid of that wheel spin. Like, wheel spin is a part of the game. Yet he has no wheel spin. I'm just going to stop it there. I'm sure I've showed you enough evidence now. Like I said, please ban this guy, and I'll show you his name again, just in case I misspell it. So his name is O.A. Pensioner. This guy is clearly cheating. There's not too much else to say about it. There's no one who's going to be running a 107 in this car. Maybe a low, I could see the best players maybe running a low 108 if they manage to maximize everything, but this car isn't fast enough to do a 107. Like, it's a physical limitation of the car itself. And I just showed you me running this car, even rewinding and doing every corner basically perfectly. And while my tune might not have been perfect, I can guarantee that. I can definitely make some improvements on that. I'm still not really going to be running below a 109. So since I know that the fastest drivers can be roughly half a second to a second faster than me, I definitely see them running a 108.3, I would say, in this car. It's probably what I would expect if I were to race against them. And like I said, a 108.3 to 108.5, that's extremely respectable in this car. To run a 107.8 without cutting the track at all, no wheel spin, none of that, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not buying it.